Our attention to the international papers then. Florence with us here on set. You've been flicking through them all, starting off great heavily into the Greek press today. Of course, the Greek leaders are agreeing on forming a coalition and George Papandreou on the way out.
That's right. We're going to take a look at some of the headlines in Greece today, starting with the centre-right paper Kathimerini says that a new government has been formed with the threat of returning to the drachma. Now, following on to Ethnos, which is a more centre paper, they say that there's a historic deal for a coalition government, so I guess a little bit more factual there. Moving on to the left, Eleftherotypia says that a coalition for more austerity measures. Now, a lot of the international press is also covering the events that played out in Greece over the weekend. We're going to start by looking at a cartoon, actually, in China Daily, which is rather critical of outgoing Papandreou. There you see a crazy-looking Papandreou throwing oil on a burning euro symbol, and meanwhile, two very confused Merkel and Sarkozy, dressed as firemen, are trying to put that burning euro out.
Perhaps that's a new job for either of them. We'll wait and see. Interesting piece you pulled out as well in the International Herald Tribune, talking about the philosophy of economists and how that's going to have to change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a piece by two economists, actually, that say wanted world philosophers. Now, they start by looking at the Occupy movement, which has been drawing a lot of criticism for failing to offer an alternative vision. But according to the two economists, they say that they aren't the only ones that are lacking perspective. Economists themselves need to come back to the basics and explore this idea of a vision of the system that we're working in. They say that economists need to start thinking again in terms of competitive economic systems. According to the article, as right now there's just one vision, which is that globalization has created a single system of capitalism that's driven by international competition. But once again, they need to come back to the basics. The economists, according to this article, are too focused on the small problems, and they need to kind of widen their view and really just think about the basics of the economic system that we're in. They need, according to the article, they need to discuss different types of capitalism and in whose interests they're working for, and this is the first step to creating a better world, according to this article.
OK, you never know, it might happen. The man who terrorised the world, Carlos the Jackal, in the 1970s, going on trial here in Paris today. A lot of coverage about that.
Yes, he gave an interview. Well, an interview appeared in a Venezuelan daily called El Nacional over the weekend. Now, according to El Nacional, the interview was actually conducted between the 27th and the 28th of October. Now, in this interview, he boasts that he committed more than 100 attacks and claimed up to 2,000 lives. And a lot of papers are picking up on this. We're going to take a look at an article in the Spanish press, the ABC. Now, in this interview, Carlos is also critical of the Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez, who once publicly praised Carlos as being a revolutionary fighter. He says that Chavez doesn't like blood enough, and it's impossible to have a peaceful revolution. Now, the New York Times is also looking a little bit more into Carlos the Jackal, in the lead up to this trial. It says that Carlos the Jackal retains his bluster, though he's lost his hair and lost a lot of weight. He has lost little of his bravado. And there's an interesting little detail in this article in the New York Times. It says that he's standing on trial for 4 bombings conducted between 1982 and 1983. Prosecutors say that these bombings were carried out in his own personal vendetta against the French authorities because he was trying to get his girlfriend at the time, a certain Magdalena Kopp, freed. Now, she later wrote a memoir in 2007 saying that he still lives in his own world. Someone needs to tell him the truth. So kind of ouch detail there coming out from his ex-wife.
And briefly, in the Israeli press, a lot of concern about the latest hotting up of words between Israel and Iran.
That's right. It's an opinion piece by Arner Shalev, who says that Netanyahu, don't act, just keep talking. Now, the article says that Netanyahu has drawn criticism in the past because he's been more of a man of words than a man of action. And according to the article, it says that for the first time, it seems like he's going to stray from words and symbols. Netanyahu is liable to leave his mark on history via an upcoming possible attack on Iran. And to quote this article, it says that under such circumstances, the damage caused by his inaction would be dwarfed by the damage caused by his action. The article is saying that he should stick to his speech. Otherwise, the risk is this most hapless, destructive war at a time this is liable to erupt, according to this article.
Florence, thanks very much. Florence Romano there with the international papers today here on France 24. Let's turn to the headlines then.